The first topic, obviously, the title of our whole entire podcast is about Jonathan Major. So there's a lot of talk going around about him being back on the table, but I do have to clear some things up just to make sure that the integrity of our show is here. So a scooper posted that My Time to Shine Hello said this. Now, My Time to Shine Hello, she ended up tweeting and she said that she did not co-sign this news herself, but other scoopers have talked about, that it is something possible that in the Marvel upper rooms, they are talking about how Jonathan Majors could possibly come back to the MCU. Now, Jerry, I want you to just give me your viewpoint on all this. Give me your viewpoint on where you feel with just Jonathan Majors and everything, and then we'll obviously have our talk about it. So, how do you feel about this rumor that's been going around?
I am hoping that Kang comes back. I love Kang the Conqueror, and that doesn't mean I don't want to see RDJ as Doctor Doom. I think they could do both. I think it would be awesome if they did both. Kang and Doctor Doom have a very interesting relationship, so it'd be really cool to see that play out in the MCU. Listen, I think we were robbed in a way from Kang. They had the most epic character reveal with him in Loki season 1 I don't know if it was the final 2 episodes or the finale, I forget, but at the end of Loki season 1, whichever episode they
Last two,
first
yeah.
showed him in, that was incredible. And I actually went back and rewatched Loki, and if you rewatch Loki knowing that Kang is coming, you'll see the hints throughout the entire season. But Jonathan Majors obviously is he has a generational level of talent. Whether he'll get to live that out or not is yet to be seen. But then recently there was another Twitter thread that kind of went viral that was from the same scooper who detailed, and we broke it down on the show, what the story that would have been had Kang the Conqueror remained. And I want to see that story. I want to see Doctor Doom. I want to see Secret Wars. I want it all. I don't like that they are, as much as I'm excited for RDJ as Doctor Doom, it never sat well with me that they were doing the major pivot in the middle of it. I think there were a lot of things that didn't work. I don't think it was Kang that didn't work. And, and listen, I'm not here to debate the morals of it. We're just talking if Jonathan Majors comes back as Kang, what would that mean? How do we feel about the character coming back? Because we'll comment on things when an agenda impacts entertainment, but we're really not a show we didn't start this podcast to judge people's morals. That's not what we do. So, if that's what you're looking for from us, I'm sorry, you're not going to get it.
Yeah. And bro, do you know what's hilarious, bro? Is that video that we did, that has been our highest viewed video every day for the past 2 weeks. That video, as I speak, is almost at 1,000 views. I think it's at like 907, and it's been climbing every day, getting like almost 100 views, 79 views a day, which is hilarious. Which shows that people were very interested in what the future of King the Conqueror was going to be. Now, I personally, bro, I would love for Jonathan to come back with RDJ Doctor Doom. I think the two would do a great job feeding off of each other. Jerry, I honestly think that would be one of the coolest things to actually see on screen. Two actors of that caliber that are able to kind of go at each other. I think it will be very similar to what we saw when we saw Benedict Cumberbatch hold his own with Robert in Avengers and Infinity War, but I think it will be 10 times better than that, So yeah, I think that would be super awesome. Now, I would not be happy if they ended up, chalking Doctor Doom and bringing Kang the Conqueror back. I just think that, the fact that they did this whole press run with, our DJ and bringing back the Russos, I just don't see them making that big of a change. But I wouldn't put it out of the ballpark that the Russos brought up bringing Jonathan back, because technically Majors is still in contract. You know what I mean? I mean, he's still getting paid his dues. So I think it would be a very awesome thing to do. And what better duo would you want to be directing actors like Robert Downey and Jonathan, like the freaking Russos? I mean, I think they would position him, pause, in the best way possible.
Here's the other thing, like everyone, I see so many people trying to compare Doctor Doom and Kang, and they have a lot more in common than they don't. Obviously their powers and weapons are a little different, but in terms of how they think and operate, they are both like the peak strategists in the Marvel universe. And they are, super strategic in how they operate. They are both willing to play the long game, and they're really slick. So, obviously Doom is the superior, but Kang is not that far behind. And, Kang is the kind of guy that is willing to go back in history generations and then wait his time out to come back and get back at someone. And Dr. Doom's obviously willing to go to those kinds of lengths as well. And, it's not that deep. It's strategy. Not saying the characters aren't deep, but in terms of what they have in common, it's not deep. They're both strategists and they are peak. And, listen, I don't think that Marvel is going to say, okay, scratch RDJ as Doctor Doom, we're bringing back Kang. I think it's more likely that they'll talk about doing both. But if they do talk about doing both, I don't know that RDJ would be happy with that. Listen, I love Robert Downey Jr., and I don't knock him for this. I know a lot of people do. But, he is an actor that, built the MCU, and he likes the spotlight, and he doesn't always want to share the spotlight. And because of that, I think Disney would struggle negotiating terms with Robert Downey Jr. if they were talking about bringing Jonathan Majors back as Kang. That's the thing. And I think in order to do it and keep RDJ happy, I think they would have to make some kind of concessions. And I think those concessions would be in the way of incentives, specifically in the bonus structure payout. So the rumor, or maybe it's not rumor, but from my understanding is right now they have negotiated an $80 million deal for him to come back as Doctor Doom. We don't know how many movies it's for. We won't know how many movies it's for until it's all said and done, because they don't want to indicate if he is staying around longer than Secret Wars. So that's part of the secret, the Marvel's secret, not Secret Wars secret.
A lot of secrets.
Yeah, yeah. So, but you have to remember that these actors, especially of the caliber of our DJ and an $80 million contract, a lot of that 80 mil is guaranteed money. Then there is the incentive structure where it's like, if you sell X amount in box office while the movie is in theaters, you get a percentage of that box office. And the higher you go, there's tiers. So it's like, the first 500 mil, you might get 3%. And then once you breach that next, to 600 mil, you might get 3.5 or 4%, and so on. Usually the higher you go, the higher the percentage you get, because that's the bonus structure. The bigger, the better, right? So I don't know. I think that Disney is not going to want to increase that too much, because they're already paying him the 80 mil. And, when it comes to the sales, their idea is we get to collect it back on the box office. That's how it works. And I don't know. I just think it's a very complicated situation, and RDJ's ego doesn't make it any easier. Having said that, Marvel has been, for the lack of a better term, because I really don't want to use this term, but I don't have a better one, for for the lack of a better word, the things at Marvel right now have been very fluid. They have been making changes. They keep going back and forth. And that's why when I saw that rumor, I'm like, there's part of me that believes that they are second guessing the RDJ thing. They probably expected all fans to be unified and excited over it. That was not the case. Obviously, Stevie and I are both super excited about it, but we're not blind. We are realists. We did notice that there's a ton of fans out there that are not happy about it. But I do think that Marvel probably thought everyone was going to be super happy about it. They want to pay him the 80 mil because they don't want to take risks because they're not happy with fans trashing their movies, not receiving them well. So they brought back RDJ. They brought back the Russo brothers. They brought back Stephen McFeely, the writer of the Avengers Infinity War and Endgame and all that. So it seemed those decisions say they are right now where they stand. They're not comfortable with risk. They want to bring people in who are battle tested, who they know will perform. But at the same time, I don't think they expected the mixed reaction to RDJ, and I don't think they're so comfortable with that. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. There's definitely some truth to that I can. I'm not saying that like we don't know if it's confirmed, but there's definitely some realistic truth that I could get down with what you've said because you and I obviously we text about everything. So I was kind of thinking about our convo when I was like when I was noting this topic and kind of where I'm at, bro, is they're not happy with the reception, but I feel like Feige's like it don't matter. Like I feel like Feige's like we're going to do it anyway because we just I feel like Feige is comfortable because he knows what he's going to get with RDJ. You know what I mean? Versus with all of these other people, he doesn't really. I mean, Majors that was the he didn't expect any of that to happen. So yes, and I know that I know that you also agree. Like yes, that this is a risk. Whether if it was Chris Evans or RDJ or whoever, it's a risk. But
Nothing
but
isn't a risk. Like it,
exactly.
But the thing is, it's less of a risk.
Exactly.
It's much less of a risk to work with RDJ, who you're the most experienced in working with.
Exactly.
Obviously, it's a risk because they've never did such a significant
change this deep into the story.
Yeah, like it's a big pivot, mid saga, and they're bringing back their biggest star from their biggest character, and now repackaging him as the biggest villain in the Marvel universe. So
exactly,
there's a lot of uncharted waters there. But the other thing that Stevie mentioned to me when we were talking about it that's interesting, he mentioned to me that I always say, there's two things I'm going to say. There's one thing that I always say, and I still stand by it, is that Marvel and Disney, maybe not Disney because they should listen to the fans a little more with Star Wars, but Marvel should stop listening to the fans. Marvel, and if that includes us, so be it. Like the fans they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they want. Most of them don't read comics and they pose like they do. Like there's this kid that I see on X, and I've kind of subtly called him out before, but he's always talking about like, oh, Sentry, like, and he didn't know that the Illuminati, he called it Illuminati headquarters from Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Like, bro, if you don't know that building is called the Baxter Building, you don't read comics. That's like saying I read DC and I don't know it's the Baxter.
That's some newbie type ish, bro.
Yeah. And he's always saying what they should do and shouldn't do, and it's like, bro, you don't even know, and it drives me nuts because these are the kind of fans that we have that are like running their mouth of what they should do. But Stevie also mentioned another thing. So, I told him about this, but when they casted Daniel Craig to play James Bond, there was immense backlash immediately. And, they basically put him on a boat in London and like drove it up to the dock from the bridge, something like that. I forget. I don't know London too well. I'm a New Yorker. So, But
Mhm.
whatever. They drove him on the boat. People saw he had blonde hair. People freaked out. Barbara Broccoli, the producer, was like, I could totally tell it was getting to Daniel that day. And, it was what it was. We forgot about it. We continued to work. And she was like, but I believed in Daniel. I knew Daniel was incredible. And even if I knew that he wasn't sure that he knew it himself yet, because he was so young and he hasn't been in a movie like this before, she was like, I knew he was the real deal. I knew he was going to perform, and I knew he was going to win over the fans. And thank God she didn't take fan backlash, to heart and like let it get into her head, because Daniel Craig, and I'm the biggest Bond fan you've ever seen, and I'm saying this,
100%.
Daniel Craig is arguably the best Bond. It really is a toss up between him and Connery. Yeah, but she didn't listen to the fan backlash. And if there's one thing that I would like Feige to listen to us on, it's to not listen to the fans. Ironically,
I agree, bro. And that's kind of where I'm at is, like, even though and like, Feige is the king of not saying anything, when things happen. And um we just gotta let them cook. That's just kind of how I feel. And this and the RDJ Vader thing is very similar to what happened with to what is happening with Corn Sweat and Superman. Is that people were so quick to just jump on this casting, like we
that's
have to
different.
no, but
That I think that's way different, because I think that it comes from a serious bias. I don't think people are criticizing Corey Sweat because they don't think he's a good Superman. I think they're criticizing them because they're butthurt over Zack Snyder. That's completely different.
yeah, but I'm saying that the equal reasoning is fans aren't happy with the MCU, and there are some fans that don't like what the DCU is going to be, and I think that, and this is how I feel, right? If you are a fan of Marvel, DC, Star Wars, you want it. If the project is trying to honor the heart of the comics and the heart of the story, you should want it to be successful. And that's what Jerry and I live by, like, we dislike the Joker, which is doing great on views, by the way, but we dislike the Joker because we don't think it honors who the Joker is as a character. And when the Russo said that RDJ is playing Victor Von Doom, and they doubled down on it in the interview, that showed me that that they are going to try to honor this. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do. And if Kang comes back, it would be cool. If not, whatever, like, it does suck, but it's life. And we'll just see what happens as more news come out.